Hi, you are watching Reddit Stories.
My ex-girlfriend faked her own assault to cover up her betrayal. And that's only the beginning. Throwaway because people in my life browse Reddit, and I don't want this connected to my main. Also, trigger warning. Cheating, manipulation, mental health, and some dark turns. I've rewritten this so many times trying to make sense of it. But the truth is, it still doesn't make any damn sense to me. It's been almost a year since it all blew up, and I'm only now starting to connect the dots. I guess I need to put it out there to feel like I'm not insane. Maybe someone's been through something similar. Maybe not. Either way, buckle up. So 29 me, had been dating Sasha, 28F, fake name, for almost 3 years when everything imploded. We met in grad school, both studying psych, and hit it off right away. She was bright, funny, sharp, in ways that made debates feel like foreplay. I was obsessed with her, and she made me feel like I was the center of her universe. The first year was incredible. We moved in together after 10 months, which in hindsight was fast, but it felt natural. We had routines, Sunday morning pancakes, Wednesday movie nights, shared Spotify playlists, the works. People said we were relationship goals. My friends loved her. My mom adored her. Even my dog, who hates basically everyone curled up in her lap after 10 minutes of meeting her. But around year 2, things shifted. At first, it was little stuff. She started working late more often. Her phone was suddenly always face down. She got weirdly defensive about seemingly nothing. Once, I found a receipt in her coat pocket for a hotel room. She said it was for her friend Melanie, whose boyfriend had kicked her out and needed a place to crash. I called Melanie the next day to see if she was okay. Melanie had no idea what I was talking about. I confronted Sasha. She cried, said she panicked and didn't know why she lied. That it was her hotel room, yes, but she had just needed a night to herself and was ashamed to admit she needed space. Claimed she walked around the city, journaled, watched TV, cried, said she didn't want to hurt me. I believed her because I wanted to. I told myself everyone lies sometimes, and maybe she just didn't know how to ask for space. Things stabilized after that. Or so I thought. Here's where the real story starts. One Friday night in January, Sasha came home visibly shaken. Clothes rumpled, mascara smudged, hands trembling. She collapsed onto the couch, hyperventilating. I dropped everything, rushing to her side. She told me without much detail that someone had assaulted her near the subway, that she got away, that she hadn't gone to the cops, that she just wanted to shower and sleep. I offered to take her to the hospital, to the precinct, to anything. But she refused. I didn't push. She barely spoke for days after. Would flinch if I got too close, slept in the guest room. I made her tea, I checked in, I tried to give her space. I told my boss I needed time off to take care of her. I rearranged everything in my life to support her. But something didn't add up. The timeline was weird. She claimed it happened near the 14th Street station at 7:45 p.m. I checked her location history. Her phone pinged near 34th Street at 8:15 p.m., the opposite direction. I asked her about it gently, and she blew up. Accused me of victim blaming. Said I was gaslighting her. Said she couldn't believe I didn't trust her after what she'd been through. I backed off. Again. A few weeks later, I was cleaning our closet when I found a shoebox buried under old sweaters. Inside were photos. Dozens. Sasha and some guy I'd never seen before. Candid shots, kissing in Central Park, holding hands at a museum, snuggling on a couch that wasn't ours. One picture had a date stamp same day as the alleged assault. I felt like the air got punched out of my lungs. I stared at those pictures for maybe half an hour, trying to tell myself it had to be a cousin, an old flame, a trick of the light. But no. This was recent. This was deliberate. This was betrayal with a capital B. I didn't confront her immediately. I took the box, locked it in my trunk, and started digging. I messaged one of Sasha's old friends she'd cut off during our relationship, Tina. Tina and Sasha used to be inseparable, but hadn't spoken in over a year. I asked her if she recognized the guy. She did. His name was Adrian, Sasha's ex, except not really ex. According to Tina, Sasha and Adrian had been on again, off again for almost 6 years. Toxic cycle. Breakup, makeup, chaos. Apparently, Sasha cheated on Adrian with me at the very start. She never told me she was still seeing anyone when we met. Said she'd just gotten out of a draining relationship and needed a fresh start. Tina sent me screenshots, texts from Sasha to Adrian as recently as last November. Sasha telling him she still thought about their life together and felt trapped with me. Trapped. I was her live-in boyfriend, cooking her meals, paying half the rent, covering for her at family events when she wanted to rest. I finally confronted her. I laid out the photos, the screenshots, the lies. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just sat there and said flatly that she needed more time to figure out what she wanted. Like I was some side project she could abandon whenever the mood struck. I told her to get out. She packed a bag and left within the hour. I thought that was the end. It should have been, but it wasn't. 2 weeks later, I got a knock on my door. Police. Someone had reported me. Said I was emotionally manipulative and coercive. That I'd violated a restraining order, except there was no record of one. The officers asked questions. I answered truthfully. Showed them texts from Sasha after she left. She was the one who kept reaching out. I showed them everything. They left. Nothing came of it. But the seed was planted. My reputation at work took a hit. Whispers, raised eyebrows. Then the anonymous emails started. Screenshots from dating apps with my photo. Fake bios claiming I was into dubious consent roleplay. Posts on forums alleging I'd gaslighted a survivor. It was clear someone was trying to burn my life down from the outside. I changed numbers, deleted social media, filed a report with the cybercrime unit, though they said it'd be hard to trace without more evidence. Eventually it stopped, or I thought it had. Then in May, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Adrian. And he wasn't calling to threaten me. He was calling to apologize. So when I picked up the phone and Adrian said it was him, my heart just about froze. I thought it was some kind of sick prank. But the first thing he said was, "I think Sasha's been lying to both of us. I'm sorry I didn't reach out sooner. Can we talk?" He sounded nervous, tired, not angry, which threw me off. I agreed to meet him in a public park a few days later. Neutral ground. I didn't know what to expect. I brought a friend who sat far enough away not to intrude, but close enough to be a witness just in case. Paranoia, you know? Adrian looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. We shook hands awkwardly. No hostility. Just two men bound by the wreckage of the same hurricane. He started talking and didn't stop for 20 minutes. I wish I could say I was surprised, but it was worse than I imagined. According to Adrian, Sasha had kept the two of us going at the same time for at least a year and a half. She told him I was just a roommate who was in love with her and wouldn't move out. Said she felt bad for me, didn't want to hurt me. She even told him I had anger issues and that I'd once punched a hole in the wall during an argument. Never happened. She had played the victim to him while playing the loyal girlfriend to me. And it didn't stop there. The night she claimed she was assaulted, Adrian said she had shown up at his apartment that night, claiming I'd threatened her, and she needed somewhere safe to stay. They had sex. She stayed the weekend. She told him she'd finally left me for good. 2 days later, she was back at our apartment, acting traumatized. It gets worse. Adrian had found a journal, Sasha's. hidden under a loose floorboard in his bedroom. Apparently, he lives in one of those pre-war New York apartments with weird, creaky floorboards. He showed me pictures of the entries. Pages and pages of messy handwriting, timeline notes, names, even emotional scores for each of us. She had been documenting how she manipulated us. She graded how effective her lies were. Under one entry, she wrote, "Told Adrian that Amy cried when I told him about the assault. He looked like he wanted to kill him. 9-10 reaction. E still thinks I'm broken. We'll use it to get another week off. Need a break anyway. Probably milk it for something new." I wanted to throw up. There were lists of what gifts we'd given her, what stories she'd told to who, what lies needed maintenance. She treated it like some twisted science experiment. Data, hypotheses, outcomes. But we weren't data points. We were people. At that point, Adrian said he felt sick too. That's why he called me. He said he'd been in denial for a long time, but after finding the journal, he knew she was dangerous. And here's the final kick in the teeth. She had done this before, with another guy. Let's call him Marcus. Adrian had met Marcus through mutual friends a few years back and realized some of Sasha's stories overlapped. Dates, places, even lines. When Adrian contacted him, Marcus was hesitant, but ultimately opened up. Apparently, Sasha told him she was dying of a rare autoimmune disorder and needed financial support. He gave her nearly $12,000 over 2 years. She miraculously recovered when he stopped paying. I was stunned. All the signs had been there. The sudden withdrawal, the manufactured drama, the over-the-top emotional whiplash. But she was so good at seeming vulnerable. So good at making you feel like you were the only safe harbor in her storm. After that meeting, Adrian and I stayed in contact. We compared notes. We even talked about going to the police with the journal. But without the physical copy, there wasn't much we could do. He tried to confront Sasha to get it back, but by then she'd vanished. Deleted all her socials, changed her number, ghosted everyone. It was like she evaporated. But she didn't disappear completely, because 2 months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, handwritten. Inside was a single sheet of paper. You think you know the truth, but you only ever saw what I wanted you to see. That was it. No signature, nothing else. And in the envelope was one of the photos I had taken from the shoebox. The one of Sasha and Adrian kissing in Central Park. Except this time, my face had been crudely pasted over Adrian's. Like she was rewriting her own narrative. Again. After I got that creepy letter, I honestly didn't know what to do. It felt like some kind of psychological warfare. I didn't sleep well for days. Every time my phone buzzed or a car slowed down near my apartment, I jumped. I bought a home security camera system and installed it myself that weekend. But nothing else happened. No more letters, no calls, no sightings. Weeks turned into months. I slowly tried to piece my life back together. I went to therapy, started journaling, reconnected with friends I had pushed away during my relationship with Sasha. I even got a dog of my own, a little rescue mutt who barked at everything, which made me feel a little safer. Adrian and I still kept in touch, texting once every few weeks. He was dealing with his own mess, but we'd become this weird support group for each other. There was comfort in knowing I wasn't the only one she'd used and broken. Then, 6 months after the letter, Adrian messaged me out of the blue. "You need to see this. Now." Attached was a screenshot of a Facebook profile. Different name, different city, same face. Except, not quite the same. The profile picture was heavily edited. Hair bleached blonde, different makeup, more angular filters, but it was Sasha. No question. Her new name was Delaney Cross, She'd moved to Philly. Her profile was curated like she was an influencer, tons of pictures of wine bars, workout selfies, inspirational quotes. It looked normal. Until I saw a picture of her with a new guy. He looked young, maybe mid-20s, muscular, dressed like a fitness bro. Tagged as Ryan M. I clicked through. His profile was public. Trainer, aspiring actor, personal brand stuff, and tons of photos with Delaney. One caption stuck out. A selfie of the two of them in front of a new condo. So lucky to start this next chapter with the love of my life. Blessed new beginnings. Wait, engaged? My stomach twisted. Adrian did some digging and discovered Ryan had a modest following on TikTok. Nothing crazy, maybe 15K followers, but enough for Sasha to smell opportunity. She was popping up in his videos more and more, playing the quirky, supportive fiancé, cooking tutorials, workout challenges, relationship QAs. I watched one. In it, Ryan joked that he was lucky Delaney tolerated his chaos. She giggled and said something like, "After what I've been through, I don't sweat the small stuff." The comments were full of hearts and relationship goals messages, and that's when Adrian sent the bomb. He'd created a burner TikTok account and DM'd Ryan pretending to be a fan who was concerned about Delaney's past. Didn't mention us by name, just said he might want to do a reverse image search. No response for days. Then Adrian got a message from a different account. Not Ryan, not Sasha. This was from someone named Kayla. The message was short. "I know who you are. She did the same thing to my brother. He's dead now." I stared at that message for what felt like an hour. I texted Adrian asking if it was real. He confirmed it. Then Kayla sent another one. Her brother's name was Jesse. According to her, he dated Sasha, then going by Hannah about 5 years ago, when she lived briefly in Chicago. At first, it was the usual whirlwind romance, intensity, deep conversations, fast escalation. Sasha moved into Jesse's apartment within 2 months. Then came the stories. Abusive parents, past trauma, manipulative exes, vague mental health struggles. She isolated Jesse, cut off his friends, clashed with his sister, demanded he block anyone who didn't support their love. When Jesse tried to leave, she told him she was pregnant. She wasn't. But she kept the lie going for almost 2 months. Even bought fake ultrasound printouts from Etsy. When Jesse finally figured it out, she flipped. According to Kayla, Sasha accused Jesse of rape, told his friends, his employer, filed a police report. It was dismissed, no evidence, no witnesses, no credibility. But the damage was done. Jesse spiraled, lost his job, started drinking. One night he wrapped his car around a tree going 90. Kayla never bought that it was just depression or coincidence. She believed Sasha systematically destroyed her brother's life. I felt sick, like physically ill. This wasn't just manipulation, this was calculated psychological warfare. And now she was rebranding herself again. This time as the Instagrammable fiancé of a gym influencer. We debated what to do. Go to Ryan? Go public? Adrian voted yes. He wanted to blow it up. I wasn't so sure. If we went scorched earth and Ryan didn't believe us, Sasha would just disappear again. She was a chameleon. She would turn this into another attack on her reputation, play the victim again, and we'd be the villains. We needed proof, hard evidence. That's when Adrian made a decision I wasn't comfortable with, but I didn't stop him. He catfished her, created a fake profile as a producer for a new streaming docuseries about modern love stories, and messaged her offering a feature segment. She bit, set up a Zoom meeting, gave a full interview. Adrian recorded the whole thing, and holy hell, the stuff she said. She claimed to be a former trauma therapist who left the field after a stalker client attacked her, claimed she now worked in relationship coaching and helped people recover from emotional abuse. She described Ryan as her healer and said she'd finally found someone who could protect her from men like the ones she'd survived. It was like watching someone play a character based on all the lies she'd told us, but repurposed into a brand. Adrian clipped the most incriminating parts. We drafted a letter, sent it to Ryan, along with timelines, screenshots, voice messages, the video, everything. We made it as respectful and factual as possible. We didn't attack Sasha. We just laid out the truth. No response, then 3 days later, Ryan's TikTok was wiped, every video gone, his Instagram deleted. A few days after that, Sasha's Delaney profile disappeared too. And then, silence. After Delaney disappeared, Adrian and I went back to our lives, or what was left of them. We figured she'd either reinvent herself again or maybe finally retreat underground. Either way, we hoped we'd done enough to stop her for a while at least. But you know how they say narcissists always come back? They were right. 3 months after Ryan and Sasha went offline, I got a message on LinkedIn of all places. A profile with a generic name and no photo messaged me this: "You're not as smart as you think you are. You still don't know the whole story, but you will, soon." I didn't reply. Just forwarded it to Adrian and we agreed to stay alert. Then a week later, I was walking home from work and passed a coffee shop I'd never been to. But I glanced through the window and froze. She was sitting inside. No disguise, no blonde wig. Back to her natural hair. Same posture. Same steepled fingers on the table. Except this time, she wasn't alone. There was a woman across from her. Older, maybe late 40s, sharply dressed. Something about her looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. I took a picture through the glass, sent it to Adrian. His reply was instant. "You're kidding. That's her mother. We have to talk, now." Backstory time. When Adrian and I first compared notes months earlier, we tried to dig into Sasha's childhood hoping to find clues, something that might explain how she became who she was. But everything was vague. The stories she told each of us about her family were contradictory. She said her parents were abusive, then that they were dead, then that she was adopted. None of it lined up. But Adrian remembered a name from one of her emails, an insurance policy sent to Valerie Connors. He assumed it was a roommate or aunt. It wasn't. Turns out, Valerie Connors is a retired psychologist who had her license revoked for ethical violations in 2006, mainly involving patient boundary issues and coercion. She'd run an experimental therapy group focused on personality disorders, especially borderline and antisocial traits. One of the names that appeared in court filings as a case study subject was Sasha. Real name? Annalise Connors. That's right. Sasha wasn't a pseudonym. Delaney wasn't the new alias. Annalise was her actual name, and Sasha was the mask. Annalise had been part of her mother's experimental therapy work since she was a teenager. Valerie's notes, some of which were leaked when she lost her license, described controlled manipulations of romantic partners as a therapeutic tool for understanding affect regulation in BPD patients. In short, her mother trained her to manipulate people. The journal Adrian had found? That wasn't just a diary. That was therapy homework. This went beyond simple toxicity or even mental illness. It was generational programming. A mother using her daughter like a psychological weapon to test how far human manipulation could go. We didn't know what they were planning when we saw them at the coffee shop, but we decided to stop being reactive. We wanted closure. so we planned one last meeting. We contacted Valerie under the guise of a documentary on recovered therapists, using Adrian's burner identity as a filmmaker again. She agreed to meet. We rented a neutral co-working space with cameras set up. Adrian played interviewer. I stayed out of frame. Valerie showed up dressed like she was going to a TED Talk. At first, she talked in generalities about trauma, boundaries, the fallacies of modern psychiatry. But then Adrian asked one question that changed everything. Do you believe that manipulation is ever therapeutic? She smiled like she'd been waiting for it. All relationships are manipulative. The question is whether we're honest about the exchange. Then she said, my daughter and I understand this deeply. More than most. Adrian pushed. You mean Annalise? She blinked once, realized the game was up. That's not a name we use anymore. Then she got up and walked out. Silent, no drama, no threats. Just a slow exit like she was stepping off stage after a performance. We never heard from her again. But the next day, we got an email from a burner address. Subject line, consent, body. Everything we did, you chose to participate in. You believed what you wanted to believe. That's what makes it art. Not manipulation. Art, and attached, was a PDF, a scanned document. It was a contract, signed by Sasha, signed by Adrian, and horrifyingly, signed by me. A fake one, of course. But the signature was an eerily accurate forgery. It looked like a consent form for experimental relational dynamics. We handed everything to a lawyer, just to be safe. He said the contract was meaningless in court, but terrifying nonetheless. It was a final play, a way to claim we had agreed to be part of it, that we were co-conspirators, not victims. And that's when I realized something that still haunts me. She never wanted to disappear. She wanted to be remembered. I thought the story was over. But 3 weeks ago, she found a new way to remind me it never really will be. It's been almost 2 years since that first night Sasha Annalise came home shaking and claimed she was assaulted. A lie, a cover story, a mask so convincing that even I, the person who loved her most, didn't see the monster underneath her. After the encounter with her mother, Valerie, I started to do the real work of rebuilding my life. Not just therapy, not just cutting ties, but actually learning to live again. I changed cities, moved from New York to Portland, left the job I had back then, started freelancing, adopted another dog, built new habits, new boundaries. I deleted every old email, contact, photo, everything that linked me to her. At one point, I even changed my name on social media. For a while, I felt free. Adrian moved too. He found a partner, a real one, who didn't use him as a character in some psychological experiment. He teaches now. Last I heard, he's happy. It took time, but I got there too. I even started dating again, cautiously. I tell myself I trust people now. Mostly that's true, but trauma is funny. It hides, it waits, and sometimes it doesn't scream, it whispers, like 3 weeks ago. I was checking my mail one morning, just bills and junk, the usual, until I saw a white envelope, thick cardstock, addressed by hand. No return address. Inside was a wedding invitation. The names on the front read, Elena Vale Micah Rothwell. 2 names I didn't recognize, but the font, the color scheme, the paper texture. Something in my brain snapped into place. I flipped it over. On the back was a quote in italic script. Every great story is about transformation, especially the ones no one believes. That's when I knew. It was her, Elena Vale. Another name, another face probably, another target. I don't know who Micah is. I don't know if he's like Adrian and me, someone she lured in with charm and vulnerability, or if he's different. Maybe someone worse. Maybe someone helping her this time. But here's what I do know. The address for the RSVP was a P.O. box in Chicago, right back where Jesse, Kayla's brother, had lived. The one who didn't survive. I stared at that card for a long time. I haven't told Adrian yet. I'm not sure I will. Because this time, I'm not going after her. I'm not warning the groom. I'm not setting up burner accounts or fake interviews or revenge missions. She wins in a way if I chase her, and honestly, I think that's what she wants. To be seen. To know she still has power. That she still lives in the background of my life like static on an old TV set. So instead, I burned the invitation. Watched it curl and blacken in the fireplace until it was nothing but ash. And then I poured myself a drink. I went outside with my dogs. I sat on the porch. I breathed in the summer air, and for the first time in years, I said it out loud just once. She doesn't get to own me anymore. Because here's the final twist. She wants to be unforgettable. But the only way I win is by forgetting her.